All right, and we're live. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for our weekly Masterclass Wednesdays. I have with us the usual suspects. We got Russell Schindler, Paul Goodrow. These two are veterans of the industry, I should say. Over 30 years each in the environmental services industry. And I'm going to let you introduce everything from here on out now, Paul. Go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. Well, first of all, thanks again, everybody, for your time. I know your time is valuable, and especially as consulting engineers, every minute counts. So we appreciate your time. What we want to do is spend about 20, 25 minutes every week, every Wednesday, to discuss tips and lessons learned on the use of our technology, SampleServe. And really, the purpose of these calls are really to help you be successful in your role. I believe moving forward, even today, there's a nexus between employee success and technology. And where that comes together, I think employees have a better opportunity to add value to the organization and promote their careers. So SampleServe is one tool out there, a digital solution that you can use to do that. And we hope that through these weekly webinars, you'll be able to learn from us different tips on how to become more effective with our tool, and therefore more effective in your role and giving you opportunities to move your careers forward. So that's our aspiration. We hope that you join us every Wednesday. We invited both clients and potential clients to these webinars. Next week we will not have a webinar, the 21st. We all have some conflicts going on, but we will start back on the 28th. So again, sit back, enjoy yourself, and let us help you be successful.
Cool. Well said, Paul. Thank you. We're going to get right into user experiences and user requests. So this next part, we're going to talk about a user requested something from us. And Russell, I'm going to let you explain this part.
Okay. So we had a client that wanted to look at all their projects kind of simultaneously and be able to see what's coming up next, what they just completed. They want to be able to kind of just get an idea of how big each project is and when they're scheduled. So we created this dashboard. So here's one of our clients. You're able to actually click on the header and then sort. You can see this is the last event. I can sort them up and down. So here's like the last time it was sampled just a couple of days ago. I can also go and sort by the next event, both up and down. So the next event's coming up tomorrow. You can also sort alphanumerically. So if you want to find a project real easily, if you've got project numbers or just regular names, you can sort them that way. Then underneath, you'll see there's a little summary of the size of the project, right? So this looks like a pretty big size of the project. They're going to gauge 61 wells and sample 7 and fill out 68 forms. So they're filling out a form for every one of these locations. So it's just a real quick way to see what's going on with your particular space. So that's that's the kind of, we call that our dashboard. We will be creating probably within the next month the ability to export this into either your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar. So that's another feature that we should be adding here very shortly.
If I can just add, Russell, I mean, obviously this is really great for resource leveling and resource planning. It also impacts revenue generation. So, if a project manager or a field manager can keep track of those upcoming events, they'll assure themselves of not missing any. And every time you miss an event, you're missing revenue.
Yeah,
so I think,
it's if you're set up for quarterly sampling, but you only get 3 done in a year, you're leaving money on the table.
Right. So I think resource leveling, resource planning, and keeping ahead of your revenue potential are all impacted by this functionality. So I'm glad that the client asked us to do this, and I think it's serving them well.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be real nice once we get it attached to people's calendars, because I know a lot of times you in the back of your head you feel like you got something coming, but you're just not sure, and it's nice to have all of that in one place, easily visible. Okay, we're going to head on to the next part, tips and tricks, how-tos. This next one, we're going to talk about organizing your workspaces and organizing the projects inside your workspace. Let me just get straight to the app here. So I just wanted to give some examples about situations where if you created a new workspace and you have to make decisions about who you're going to add to your workspace and who you're going to individually add to your projects. So I have a blank brand new workspace here. This is your screen. I have a one project which automatically shows up when you create a new workspace. It's the demo project. So we're going to use this as our demonstration. Right now, if I click the top right up here, the little plus button, this is how I would add somebody to my workspace in general. So right now I have nobody but me. If I were to add somebody, let's put Russell in there. And then I'm going to have a drop down on the right here, and I can add anybody under any certain role that I'd like. So I want Russell to be an admin with me. And I can send a little message. Hey, Russell. In my workspace. I'm going to send him over an invite, and what he's going to get is he's going to get an email that sends him to a link that'll get him set up with his own account. If he doesn't have an account already, he's going to enter his name, his number, and it'll show up all the projects inside this workspace. He's going to have the same screen that I have essentially right here. Now, if I want to limit somebody's view, if I want to limit somebody to only just a project, I can click into the project, and up here I have the same thing again. But this is where I can add individuals to just individual projects. See, you have Russell already here because he's a part of the workspace. So he's going to see every single project. He's going to be a part of every project that's in the workspace. But if I add somebody here, let's say, Paul, I forgot your SampleServe email.
Paul.goodrow at sampleserve.com. POUDREAULT at sampleserve.com.
All right, there we go. I'm used to just the auto field filling it out. All right, Paul, is that right there, P. Goodrow?
I think so.
Close enough.
Send you a message. Hey, Paul.
Close enough.
Well, it's close enough. We'll see if it works. So we're just going to add Paul as a field technician here, and he's going to get this message saying, "Hey, Paul, join our project here." And if I got the email wrong, it's not going to send. So I think I got the email. But that's how you would individually separate people from a project and a workspace. Now, anybody that's added to just this project, they're only going to see the events coming up in this project. They're not going to see any other projects that you're doing. Now, workspace management. I have a workspace here called Demo Company 6-14-23. Now, this would technically could be a client, just an individual client for you, where you would have all of their projects inside this one workspace. Let's say you get another large client, you don't necessarily want to be mixing up all the projects in the same workspace, separated by with two different clients, let's say. So if I want to make a new workspace, I would go down here and click Add New Workspace, and I would create a whole new one, name it the client's name, and then put new projects for those guys under that one. So pretty simple. That's all I wanted to cover with workspaces.
Yeah, just for instance, we've got a client that has, they do work for BP Amoco, and they also do work for 7-Eleven. And so you can create a workspace, called BP Amoco, another one called 7-Eleven, and then their projects are kind of separated that way.
Right.
And some of our clients do it by geography, right? Like Pittsburgh office, they'll make a portfolio workspace by geography.
Yep. There's lots of ways some people are pretty creative about how they separating group projects.
And the best way to do it is you don't want to be adding people to workspaces that they don't necessarily have anything to do with. So you would by geography or by clients,
or individual projects. Yeah.
Yeah. Or say you have a subcontractor that only has to do something with this project, something like that.
Now, Josh, don't you also invite the lab representative, or you can invite the lab rep also?
You can invite the lab rep on this side as well if they want to see, let's say, if they want to see any kind of, if it depends on how much you want them to do on the project, but they will also be invited as a lab administrator on the lab app end. So they'll be able to add all their analytical test details and everything from the lab app side. Yeah. And they'll be able to see the upcoming projects as well. It'll be status, if it's being sampled, they'll be able to see that. If it's in transit to them, they'll be able to see that. So that'll happen.
Labs have their own workspace, but it's grouped and the functionality is different. It's specifically for laboratories.
Yeah, it's it's kind of the same screen, but it also allows them to upload their test results,
Their
and
lab
stuff
data,
to individual projects. Good question, though.
Yeah. Good.
Next, tips and tricks. Taking pictures with the mobile field app. So I'm going to pull up the field app here. And Russell, just explain to us. Sorry, I can't make this bigger on my screen. This is just a picture of inside of a single sample site right here. So I'm going to hit back. This is a whole project going on, a whole event. So I'm going to click on one sample here. And up top, when you get into a single sample, you're going to see previous pictures that were taken with the mobile field app on site. So let's pull up this picture. Russell.
And you can take as many pictures as you want. And you'll click on the go back to that other screen, and you'll see a little icon on the bottom right there. It says add new photo. If you want to take a new photo, you're going to click that button. It'll open up the camera, and you're able to take a photograph then.
I can't do it right now because I'm on my computer.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do it right now on there.
So you would take the photograph there, and then here's a trick on taking photographs. I always take at least 2 photographs, and I take them at 90 degrees to one another. So I don't take a photograph just looking straight down on a well. You'll take a photograph looking at the well, and then capture some things in the background, and then go 90 degrees and take another photograph. So if you're out in the field and you're looking at these photographs, you can line monitoring wells up with the things in the background. And let's say there's a couple inches of snow on the ground and you're not sure where the well is. If you line these photographs up and then draw a line in the snow, and then go to the other photograph and draw another line in the snow where those 2 lines intersect, that's where your monitoring well is located. So it really speeds the location of monitoring wells. Metal detectors work just fine unless your monitoring well is located in a concrete with a lot of rebar in it. Then it makes it almost impossible to find with a metal detector. So using these photographs and metal detectors and other types of evidence really kind of speeds up the location of monitoring wells.
Right.
And then you can take as many photographs as you want. On the field forms that come off of the mobile device, they'll just show the last 3 photographs that you took with the device. So, but on the website, it'll store every photograph you've ever taken of them. So there's no limit.
Good. I suppose you can use it for integrity purposes too, Russell. I mean, if the well needs to have some repair, you can attach these to your integrity well form. To really demonstrate whether it needs a new cap or a new lock, or needs to be painted, or needs protective posts,
or represents a slip and fall or trip hazard. Yeah.
Anytime you essentially would need to show somebody anything.
Yeah. You can. So some people create a custom form for well inspections, and those are the types of things they'll document. And you can take a photograph and obviously show that, yes, this thing needs repair. It actually represents a trip hazard for the gas station customer. So
good.
All right. Nicely covered. I think we got everything covered with taking pictures. It's pretty straightforward. It's just, I mean, what's the best way to show the well and when there's another well right next to it, I think a picture is probably going to point it out easier than anything else.
Exactly.
Next one up, reports. We're going to talk about contour base values that we've recently implemented. Russell, I'm going to let you share your screen so you can describe this a little bit better.
All right.
There you go.
Okay, so you can see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm in the reports section of our software on the website under reports, and I'm going down here to contours, and I've selected this date as the date that I want to pick days for. I can pick a different day. It's going to go out and grab the data for those days. And the chemicals I've selected here I've basically done all of them. And then down here, I'm going to do one contour, and for a base value of 280. One thing before I do that is I'm going to unselect all of them and then just select xylene. I happen to know that the drinking water criteria in the state of Michigan for xylene happens to be 280. And so I'm going to contour one contour to 280. So it shows you where my cleanup criteria is. So everything inside is going to be above criteria. Everything outside is below criteria. So one of the other things that we allow you to do when doing contours is pick the scale you want to use, whether it's linear or logarithmic. I'm going to stick with linear. You can also turn it into a heat map. I'm going to do that as well. I'm going to make it a heat map. And then final thing we allow you to do is actually place 0 values. Whenever you're doing any kind of contouring, there's always some kind of artistic interpretation that's required, because a contour needs at least 2 locations in order to divide up the intervals in between. So if you've got 9,000 here and nothing over here, it has a hard time figuring out the contour. So we allow the user to right click their mouse, and then you can put 0 values all the way around your contamination. You don't have to, but it just makes for a more realistic and pretty looking picture if you do that. And then when you got everything set the way you want it, you just hit generate report. It's going to go out there, do the compilation in the drawing, in the cloud, and it's going to push back a PDF. You can see it says report built. It's pushing the PDF. It's going to open up my Adobe Acrobat here in a second. It's actually opening it on another screen here. So there it is. Let me refresh that. Let me enlarge it. So there's our 280 contour. I could put better zeros in here and it would look a little bit smoother. You can see the heat map function here. So it does kind of show you where the hot spots are at. Then all the values for each well that it had data on are actually printed in black right next to it. So that's just a real quick lesson. If I wanted to do more than one contour, I can actually just come back in here, increase this to, let's say, 5 contours, and then just regenerate that report. It's going to do the exact same thing, only with 5 contours in it here. It should open up here in just a second. So,
and after realizing that your boundaries are probably a little further in than what you want, you'd probably redo that 0 boundary.
I can turn the zeros off and on and redo them if I need to. So here's a 5 contour again with the base value of 280. So lots of different functionalities. You can do entire groups of contaminants, total contaminant, individual chemicals. And then there's no limit on the number of images that you generate from here.
So in total, Russell, without speaking, that probably took you a minute and a half.
Yeah, exactly.
So it really illustrates the ease at which these graphic outputs can be developed. And, as Russell said, setting your maximum contaminant level is pretty simple. The artistry might be in where you put your zeros, but it's going to generate graphic output that, I think your clients and your regulators will accept. So it's very simple and very fast.
And you can see here, there's a save all button. So I can actually save my settings. And next time I come back in here, everything will be exactly the way I saved it. And then you've got the ability to do numerous different line maps and different graphics on your data as possible. So you can see here, I've got about 9 different maps, and then I can save each one of those individually. So next time I come in here, I can just generate all these graphics in just a matter of seconds. So yeah, it's very efficient. And you can see it's pretty easy to learn. It's not.
It beats sending it to Jimmy in the CAD department, doesn't it, John?
Yeah, it's not like learning AutoCAD or dealing with your.
No offense against AutoCAD, Jimmy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what we've also found, right? This is one of the limiting factors when it comes to producing reports is the graphic output. And so if you can get it done faster, it's just going to accelerate your ability to provide data to the customer. If the customer is invited to your workspace, they'll be able to see these drawings and these graphs. So, instantaneously, really after you receive the data from the lab, you can provide the client graphic output. So
Exactly.
Yep. And when the map comes back and it's nothing that like you wanted, the turnaround time is nowhere. You can just literally go back into the app and change some values and generate again, as opposed to circling back with somebody else in the office and waiting perhaps another day.
Right. Okay.
So
good. Russell, anything else on that?
Nope. I think that's about it.
How about you, Josh?
I think we're good.
All right.
For time's sake, let's keep this thing going. I think we're going to finish it up here. Last page. So I forgot to mention at the beginning. Sorry, guys. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the chat. Even after this is over, this post is going to stay live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and we can read anything that you put in the chat, and we can get back to you about any kind of questions or comments. And this post is going to also be live with the same link, so you can share this with anybody you'd like. If you feel like something like SampleServe is going to help somebody else that pass this along to them, because it only makes sense. If it's helping you, then it's going to help somebody else in the same industry along with you.
Yeah. So if I can just close, Josh, I think we're not going to be on the 21st, but the 28th we'll be doing another masterclass, so that will be available to everybody. Yep. I think next week or that week we're going to talk about a recent client request to connect our system with Equus, which, as some of you might know, is a really international and industry enterprise level database used for environmental data management. And we've created the ability to download data from Equus and upload data from Equus. So this tool can run alongside or with an enterprise system that you may already be using. So it's really helped a lot of our clients. So stay tuned to that, and we'll get the invite out as soon as possible.
Well, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Yep.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
See ya.